The African American diaspora has a purchasing power of well over $1 trillion. Africa can certainly tap into this. Africa also has a lot that can benefit African Americans. To help us discuss this, we have David Hunter, a well-known producer, director, arranger, and entrepreneur who is working to connect Africa to the world. Please join me in our discussion with David Hunter. All right, David, we're happy to have you in our studio.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm going to the studio. Before we get into our discussion today, you are a producer, director, composer, songwriter. Tell us about yourself.
All right. Well, I mean, I'm a singer, songwriter, producer. I got into music. I come from a long line of musicians. My dad, my grandfather, everybody in my family played music. So I decided to go to music college, one of the most prestigious music schools in the world, which is Berklee College of Music, and got inspired there, obviously, to take the music production thing to the next level. So I left Boston, Massachusetts, moved to New York City, where I had the opportunity to, do some film projects and work with some celebrities, and then start my own music production company. I happened to, do some pretty fantastic work, which allowed me to meet up with one of the greatest worship leaders in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Who is Dr. Ron Canoli.
I saw you with him.
Yeah, Dr. Ron Canoli, which he kind of took me under his wing and allowed me to be his music director for a couple of years, and allowed me to travel the world. Yeah. Which is, I traveled with him. It was my first time coming to Nigeria.
Okay.
Actually, my first time in Africa, anywhere in Africa, was with him.
Okay.
So it's been about 4 years, I think, total since that we've been coming back and forth to Nigeria. And so I'm here all the time now. So it's good. So I love Nigeria.
There is a certain well-known artist here in Nigeria, Tiwa Savage.
Yeah.
That you happen to know. How did that happen? How do you know Tiwa Savage?
Tiwa's my homie, man. Like, I knew her obviously long before she's became the. She's amazing. First of all, I'm super proud of Tiwa for your success, Mom. Love to you. That's amazing. But when we met, she had come from London and she happened to be in New York, and she was introduced to us by a mutual friend of ours, a producer named Keith Harris. And Keith is my brother. Keith Harris, he's the drummer and producer for Black Eyed Peas and, Busta Rhymes, and he's got Grammys and all. He's a great guy, phenomenal musician. And so he's like, hey, I got a friend of mine, Dave Hunter, a producer, he's in New York, why don't you go check him out? So the studio I had in the city, she came down, and I was trying to get her to sing for me. I was like, come on, sing for me. She'll tell you this too. I was like, come on, Tiwa, sing. She's like, no, I'm too shy, I don't want to sing, no. So, after that, she really didn't sing for me, actually. Yeah. She didn't do it. Yeah. We caught up a few other times through some other mutual friends, Michael Alatuge and some other people. And so we just, we kept in touch, and, every time we see each other, it was always all love. And the next thing I heard, she got a publishing deal with Sony.
Yeah.
So, I was like, she's like, I got this publishing deal with Sony. I was like, oh, congratulations, fantastic. Next thing you know, I think like 2 or 3 years later, I come to Nigeria and I turn on the TV, and there she is on MTV. I'm like, what? I'm like, go Tiwa. So, we spoke, I think, like one time since, her success, as blowing up as an artist. And, but we definitely, I know we're going to get back in touch again, because, obviously the music industry is, so I'm definitely going to, meet up with her again.
Absolutely.
Make sure I post pictures and like.
That's funny. Yeah. Now, the Nigerian music, African music,
yes,
they are not like hits in the United States. What would you say is the reason for that? Is it because African stars, celebrities, musicians are trying to play like Beyonce? They're trying to play Western style music. They're not promoting their own African root-based music. What is the reason why they are not as popular as one would probably want them to be in the United States?
Well, I'll put it this way. It's about influence.
Yeah.
And one thing I can honestly tell you is that the music industry in the States is vastly different from other industries throughout the world. Because the fact that intellectual property and things like that have been established there, the copyright law and all that as far as music, they tend to want to control the music that comes from the States. Because see, the thing, the second largest export out of the United States is music. So, the powers that be have to be, extremely, protective and territorial over how that money is distributed throughout the world. And so musicians and artists that come from the States kind of also possess the values of the States, and sometimes, some of the non-important things that, we are still trying to work our way through, and these songs become popular. And so when it comes to other artists coming from, say, Africa and other places in the world, in my personal opinion, these styles of music won't necessarily be relevant to the values that Americans have come to appreciate. Which honestly,
which style of music? The African style of music, or when they try to adopt the Western style of music?
Because the thing is, I'm going to take it outside of that context, because the thing is, the style of the genres of music, are all, special in their own right. But I'm talking about the actual artist. It doesn't matter what the genre is. It's literally, if they're popular, they're talented. If say some of these larger labels can, sign an artist from here and say, okay, well, listen, we'd like to, we like your style, we like your music, we like your message, and if it doesn't promote, too much competition, then sure, absolutely, we'll assign you that kind of thing. But the thing is, it won't necessarily gain a lot of momentum.
Now you are in Nairobi. Now you spent some time now in Nairobi.
Yeah, I just moved to Nairobi.
I just moved to Nairobi. Okay, that's even bigger. So now what does that mean? What are you going to be doing in Nairobi? Are you like developing stars there to be globally competitive, or what are you?
Exactly. That's exactly in so many ways.
And so what kind of music is that you're developing?
Well, the thing is this. The good thing about going to the school I went to is that it allows me to be able to hear different styles of music and then try to adapt and replicate them, but then tailor them towards the artist. So it's going to be a variant of different styles, of music that are relevant in that area, and then also relevant, all throughout Africa. But then, there's going to be a small, twist of what obviously I've been exposed to, and try to attach that so that it will have appeal, in the markets in the States. Now, of course, that can't happen without some relationships. So I'm going to have to tap into some of those relationships to try to get, some of these artists exposure. And I'm not going to say try, but we're going to get. We're going to do it. We're definitely.
Okay, if we broaden this perspective now to global business, away from just music. Well, what can Africans do to bring people like you, African Americans, to Africa to help? Because I've always thought that Africa may never really realize its potential and be as great as it can be until it utilizes the diaspora, the larger diaspora, and taps into especially the African American business community. So what does it take for Africans to be able to do that? To be able to convince people. Now you've just come. It looks like you just love Africa anyway.
I love Africa.
But the others who are not so exposed to what's happening in Africa, opportunities in Africa, what they can do. What will it take to bring them to be able to help build things here in Africa and export or
like anything,
show to the world?
Like anything, and this is obviously a conversation you and I've had before, and I think that it's something I feel very passionate about, in a sense where we have to do a better job about being intentional about changing Africa's perception to African Americans. Because America has done a fantastic job of portraying Africa in a way that is not true.
As backward,
untrue, and unappealing. And just like you don't like it when somebody tells a lie about you. You know what I mean? And you're going to do everything in your power to change that. No one's making any real steps towards changing the way the palette of Africa is in the minds of African Americans. I know for a fact that I even have my own perceptions. Now, while I want to think that my perception of Africa was a little bit more, probably further advanced than, you know, my counterparts, I still was surprised when I got here. I was like, what? I was like, for real?
They don't live on trees.
But see, the thing is, what's so funny is that when I have that conversation with Africans, you know, from all over the continent, because I've been, you know, all over, they'll laugh. They're like, oh, you know, man, wow, you guys are silly, man. You just think that, you know. But I know for a fact, I guess, when I look at the fact that how beautiful and how amazing this continent is, just for myself, now I'm talking about from my own experiences. I go back to the States and I have conversations with some of my friends, and they're like, you know, I told them like for instance, I'm moving to Nairobi. I go, oh, you gonna be living in a hut? You know, they'll say that to me, but then I get offended. I'm like, man, you have no idea how beautiful it is and how amazing it is, but I can't be too upset with them because I know that they're only regurgitating. So in order to get back to the question, in order to bring more of awareness, I would dare say that we have to be very intentional about changing Africa's perception. Allow our people and your brothers and sisters, and I'll say that, you know, reverently, in the United States, to see the good things about Africa.
So now the people, as we just said, everyone sees Africa as the new horizon.
Absolutely.
The last frontier. This is where everybody's coming. But what do you see as the future? What are some of the things, what are the industries that the young men and women should go into? You mentioned something we were just talking earlier before the show about this thing in Kenya, where they're doing coding and they're doing ICT and all of that. Is that like an area that Africa should be looking at? What should Africa be looking at looking forward?
Absolutely. Well, I've recently partnered with the African Digital Media Institute, which is ADMI in Nairobi, Kenya. And at that institution, they actually have diploma programs for producers, film directors, music producers, game coding, you know, as far as like actually creating your own video games. I mean, a plethora of different things. I encourage you to do that. Go to admi.com and you can actually go on the website and actually see all the different diploma programs that they have. I'm actually going to be partnering with them using, we actually started a company called ADO, which is the African Artist Development Organization. And so we actually just started that. It was brand new, and we're going to be developing, you know, African artists to be able to compete in the global market. So yeah, it's going to be a great thing. So I would definitely encourage, you know, if you're an aspiring artist, an aspiring music producer, aspiring film director, this is the place for you to go. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Well, David, on that note, I want to thank you so very much.
It's an honor.
You are wonderful.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. You're wonderful, sir.
Great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Good job.